Hey, friends, and welcome back to the 12:11 podcast, where we believe there's power in your story. Revelation 12:11 says, they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. That's the heart behind the 12:11 podcast, to create a space for people to share their stories of God's goodness, healing, and faithfulness.
Every episode, we get to hear how God meets people in real life, in the highs and the lows, and how their story can help others walk in freedom. And today, we have a special guest, Karina Acker, whose journey is a beautiful example of God's pursuit and preparation.
Welcome, Karina. We're so glad you're here.
Yes.
Karina's story starts in a rough childhood where the church became a safe landing place. Later, she went through seasons of coasting spiritually, but in 2014, she faced deep family struggles and isolation that became a turning point for her. God met her there. He called her to fully surrender and prepared her and her husband Charles for a life of fostering children and living out his mission.
We can't wait for you to hear how God has woven safe places, provision, and purpose into her story. But first, let's start with our rapid fire round.
Are you ready for this, Karina?
Ready.
We always say that, like, everybody, this is the part they panic over. I'm like, well, this should be the part
I'm okay with.
Okay, good.
I can handle surface level.
We're good with that. The deeper stuff, that's fine, all right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Coffee or tea drinker?
Neither. But I love me a Sonic Diet Coke.
Diet. Oh, okay. That's one in hand today.
Yes, always. Your favorite comfort food? Cheese fries.
You like Sonic cheese fries?
Really like fries and like queso.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Some bacon and stuff. Oh, it's so good. So good. So if you had to choose, would you want to take a beach vacation or a mountain getaway?
Can it be?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, be on a mountain overlooking the ocean.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
I went to Hawaii last summer, and that's about it.
The best of those worlds.
Oh, yeah.
I could do that. That would be good.
Absolutely. What is your go-to worship song right now? I really like I Believe by Charity Gale. I think just because, like, I need that reminder that I do believe that you will do what you say you'll do. And, you know, you made this path for me already, so
I don't have to worry about it, right?
Yeah.
Charity Gale's voice, too. Oh, my goodness. So good. One of my favorites. I love her voice. Beautiful. Beautiful. So do you have a chore that you secretly enjoy? Like you like, oh, I want to do that. I'm not gonna.
I wish our listeners could see her face. I don't like any chores.
Totally.
You know, I don't mind like driving my kids' places. I don't know if that's considered a chore, but I feel like sometimes that's like the only one-on-one time I get with my kids. So like instead of it as a chore, it's like, hey, this is time to chat and catch up.
Yeah, I told someone just this week who's was saying that their son will be getting his driver's license in the next week or two. And she's like, oh, I'm kind of excited because I'm tired of driving carpool constantly. And I was like, you're going to miss it. Because for me, time in the car, it's like my kids talk more than they do any other time. They open up about stuff. I don't know if it's because we're not looking at each other straight in the eyes or what. They're willing to say things. But you do miss it once you're no longer doing it. My mom used to always say, you'll miss this when you're not doing it anymore. I was like, no, I will not. And then you do.
That's what everybody asks. Like, they're like, hey, when Maddox drives, like, aren't you so excited you'll be able to, like, and I'm like, no, I'll never see him.
Right,
like, the only time I see him is in the car.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Your favorite childhood cartoon
or show?
Oh, man. Maybe Full House.
Oh, yeah. I love Full House. So good. Best time of the day for you, morning or night?
Night. I'm not a morning person.
Yeah.
Hate morning.
Yeah. I like to stay up late.
Yeah.
But then I don't want to get up in the morning. Right. Like I do better if I'm that's when I kind of get my second wind. I can get a lot done in my evenings.
Yeah.
But then I don't get enough sleep. And so then the mornings are hard. So it's just this vicious cycle. So
I have no second wind late.
I do, but it's a bad habit to get into because before I know it, I'll sit down and start working at like 9, and then before I know it, it's midnight, and I'm like, oh, I got to get up at 6, you know?
Yeah.
I should just go to bed and then get up the next morning and start working instead.
Yeah.
Feel like I have to extend my day.
Yeah. Is there a book or something you're currently reading or listening to, a podcast, any of those things that you're currently listening to or reading or whatever?
So these are all new questions. I'm trying to remember now. I read a lot, but I read like romance novels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So those I just kind of fly through. I've been listening to your podcast lately to prepare for this, and I love Crime Junkies, so that's like my guilty pleasure.
Yeah. So you have a favorite author? When you say you read a lot, you have a favorite author?
I think it just depends, like what mood I'm in, because I love Kristen Hanna, right? But she's heavy.
I love Krista Hanna.
But none of them are happy stories.
No, they're deep, and they're kind of, they leave you, they sit a while afterwards.
Yeah. So, but then I like, I don't know, Emily Henry and like, those easy reads.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, good. I wish I could read more.
I do. I love to read, but prioritizing it sometimes is difficult for me.
I have my Kindle app on my phone, so when I'm in the car, waiting for pickup and stuff like that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So good.
All right. If you could choose one, which would it be? The rewind button, the pause button, or the fast forward button?
Definitely the pause button, I think. My like 3 older ones this season of life has probably been some of my favorite. Like just like middle school, and my oldest just started high school. So I just really love this time. Like it's just really special, and like to kind of watch them come into themselves and stuff. So and then our little ones.
Well, it's so much of what you've spent the early years of their life investing in them and rooting in them. You start to really see it kind of take off, I think, when they're at that age.
Yeah,
that's cool.
If you could instantly master any skill, what skill would you want to master?
That one's fun. Maybe cleaning my house. I'm not very great at that. Or organization. Like I'm really bad at organizing and like getting rid of stuff. So like if I could instantly master that.
So you're a hoarder? You pack it?
Yeah, I
will hoarder inside like the cabinets for nobody can see.
And then I'll like go through a phase where I'm like, just throw everything away. Everything. I don't need any of it.
No, right. My family, they panic when they start seeing me start throwing out. They're like, oh, here she goes. Just last night, I was like in a mad dash. I'm like, I've got 1 hour. I've got to get my house. I had to pre-clean for someone to clean my house. Do you know what I'm talking about? So it's pre-cleaning for them to clean. And Jason's like, he went out to take something to the garage. He came back in. He said, it is crazy to me how quickly you can make stuff disappear. I'm like, yes, get out of my way. Get out, or you're going to disappear. I think my kids secretly always panicked a little bit about that when I start cleaning up. They're like, oh, we're next. Like, she's fair house. I'm like, yeah. Well, Karina, thank you for joining us today. I know that there's a level of vulnerability and that it takes to encourage, that great courage that it takes to come on here and share your story. But I'm grateful to know you personally, and I can't wait for our listeners to hear your beautiful and powerful story. So let's start at the beginning. Okay. Just kind of unpack for us, someone who doesn't know Karina at all, never met you, kind of describe like the early years of your life, your childhood. What was that like, and how did that shape and form you?
Okay. So I come from a big family. I'm one of 6. There's some half siblings in there, but we were basically all one family, right? And then so I'm the middle child. And we started out as a normal, happy family. And then when I was in 3rd grade, that just kind of got rocked. My youngest sister, she had to go to the hospital, and so my mom took her to the hospital. I guess both my parents took her. And I remember like maybe the next day or something, like sitting in church, and I guess we were there with some family friends. So we were sitting there, and the pastor was like, and going through prayer requests, and he was like, and pray for the Susie family, because they just found out that their youngest had cancer. And so that is how I found out. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, what are you talking about? Like that most definitely is not what's happening here. So that was when she was 3. And so for the next 2 years, she fought that. And that, that takes over the whole family kind of. She was in and out of the hospital all the time. She did go into remission for a little bit, and then she relapsed back. And then when I was in 5th grade, November of 5th grade, she passed away. So that was really, really hard. And I'm one of those people where my like trauma response is just to forget things. So I don't really remember a ton of my childhood like with that. Like there's bits and pieces and stuff. but I don't remember a lot of it. So then soon after that, my parents split up and divorced. And so it kind of like my whole world is being rocked at this point, right? Like, you know, like not only is my sister, she's been sick, she passed away, like my family had been split up, right? Like, because, you know, like the siblings are my dad and the siblings my mom, and then there's me and Amy. And so it just rocked my world. And during that time, I started going to church, and we went to church. So, like, let me back. Obviously, we went to church if stuff happened out. So we had been like involved in church and stuff. And so one of the things when my sister had cancer, we went to like this. I don't even know what church it was now, but they told my mom that if you have enough faith and you pray enough, that she will be healed. Which, as we all know, that's not necessarily how God works.
Right.
She is healed in heaven, but
It's not always the way we want healing. Right.
right, yeah. So I think that it just kind of shook my mom, right?
Sure.
Obviously, that shook my mom. And not that she didn't believe in God anymore, but I think that just kind of turned her away from the church in general. So we didn't really go to church for a while. And then when my parents separated, I don't even know how I wound up at the Nazarene church, but I'm trying to think through that again. And I don't know, like, I think my dad went there with a friend, and then it felt like home to me, right? Like, so, I made some friends from school that were there and stuff. So Tracy, she Crummer now, right? So everybody had their maiden name still in my head. But so she, you know, was really good friends then. And so like, it just became like this place for me to escape to, and that's like safe place for me. And like, there's so many people who I feel like just poured into me and like helped make that happen. And like Gary Frame, like he drove the church bus, and that's how I got there, right? And like, I'll never forget him driving the church bus singing Corina. It's Karina, but
Tell me what you want.
But no, I mean, like,
And he'd stop at the gas station with you guys.
we would, and we would get, you know,
what I would get, whatever y'all wanted.
potato wedges and cheese dip.
That's right.
Maybe that's where
That's
my
where
love
it
and peace are from.
That's scary.
So, you know, like, but throughout, I mean, I like did the Bible quiz team, right? And church camp, and then the youth group. And like, it really did become like this safe place for me. And not that my home life wasn't safe or anything, you know, and it was. And my parents loved me very much, and they loved all of us kids. But it was just different. Like, it was like my escape.
That's good, yeah.
And, you know, youth group, and I definitely like remember like giving my life to Christ at youth camp and stuff like that. And I think looking back now, like, we've all been there, right? The youth camp, like, you feel it, right? Or like, yes, listen, sign me up. How do I do this? And then you get back and you're like, I do. Right. And so I think I always struggled with that. What's next? Right. Like, how do I do
How do I do this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Right. Like, and so like, but when I graduated high school, like, all I wanted was to get out, like, to get away, like, but I need to be somewhere else.
A new start.
Yeah, new start. So I went to school at UH in Huntsville, because they got in-state tuition, and you had your own room, which was really important for me. So, and that kind of just started my next phase of life.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, with you, you know, being at church and that being your safe space and knowing, you know, what your family had gone through, how did you feel, or what was that like as far as you having that safe space and that relationship with Jesus and watching your family maybe not being in the same space as you were?
Yeah.
For being you being the child.
I think maybe I understood it just a little bit more, because I think I could have, like, and my dad would come to church sometimes, and like my younger sister, she would be at church too. But I think I just kind of understood where my mom was coming from a little bit more, because she did, like I said, like, it wasn't that she didn't believe in God.
Sure,
like, she did believe in God, but it was a place of hurt for her.
Absolutely.
And especially as a mom now, I totally see that, right? Like, if somebody said that to me, I definitely wouldn't want to go back, right?
The way that is really even hard to fathom, and I think it's just a good reminder.
Yeah.
for all of us, just like as we watch people navigate really difficult things, just guarding our words so carefully. I think even things that we don't intend to be hurtful or harmful can be really detrimental and can, like, I can imagine for your mom, like someone saying that to you, and then this is how this resolves. It's like,
Yeah.
I've lost my child. So first of all, I'm grieving that I've lost my child, but also the weight that she had to carry that someone put on her of, if you have enough faith, this will, if this will turn out differently. So then what else is she supposed to think except for,
Right.
I didn't have enough faith? And that's just not at all. That's not at all how it is.
That's not fair.
No, it's not fair. It's so not fair. And a weight that she wasn't intended to carry, a burden and a weight she didn't have to carry, right? But somebody else laid that on her. That wasn't from God. That was us laying that on her. And somebody that probably didn't even mean ill, right?
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. They weren't trying to be hurtful.
Right.
Yeah. And when they said it, they didn't know that,
No.
right, either. So they're just like, have faith, pray. Let's have faith and pray. Like, and I think so often when we face hard things, like we do say that, right? Have faith and pray. Like, have faith and pray.
Or just trust. And sometimes the just trust means what we need to say is we can trust him, but the outcome may not look like what we understand or what we want, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we can't trust him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you found your safe place kind of through church, which I think is beautiful, and I think that's just such a good reminder for all of us who have a church community. There's people in your church community who church is their escape, it's their safe place, it's their kind of their reprieve, the place that they're learning to hope again, or learning to not let go of hope, right? But so you said you kind of started college, and that begins like the second part of your journey. Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah. So I went away to college, and I did not have that faith anymore. And I wouldn't say like I ran away from God or anything, but he definitely wasn't my priority anymore. Like, I met my husband freshman year. He lived across the hall from me. So, and we dated all through college, and then we got married after college. And he actually was Catholic. So he's from like hardcore Catholic family. So like we would go to Catholic church, or like I would go to church with friends, like here and there, but I didn't find that
part of your life anymore. Yeah.
So, like we got married, we had 2 kids, just I'm living life, right? Like this is, especially like coming from like a harder background too, like this, I want to get married to somebody who has a successful job. Like I want to finish college. I was the first one to finish college in my family.
Good for you. Yeah,
that was it.
Accomplish it.
Yep. I'm like, woohoo. So, I had my kids. Like I'm checking my boxes, right?
All the things that you think are probably going to be this life that you're longing for.
Right. Yeah. So it's, this is the road to success in my head, right? And then in 2014, my life just kind of got rocked again. So in 2014, we filed for custody of my nephew. And that was a really heavy and hard decision to make because, if he's my nephew, that means his mom is my family. And to take him means hurting her. And that was just a really, really heavy, hard decision. And so we got custody of him, and so for the next couple years, we're just navigating that and what that means for not only our family, but for my extended family. And it was just really, really hard because sometimes I felt like the bad guy. And it was kind of isolating. And when you're walking through something like that, in this life that I've created that is success, right? Other people don't understand this, right? This is a world that if you come from a happy family, you don't understand how that happens, right? And so I often felt like I didn't really have anybody to talk to. My older sister, she was a really great support during that time, but she lives in North Carolina. But I felt and once again, this is my perception of reality, so it's not necessarily reality, right? But it was my perception of reality.
Yeah, it's the perception of the reality we're living in. Right?
So I just felt like it took over my life. Just this, there was just so much into it. And it, at one point I wanted another baby, and my husband Charles was like, no, like, we got to figure out what's happening here. Like, there's a lot of moving pieces in this. Like, we cannot have another baby. And like, I was like, why am I putting my life on hold? Like, for her, right? Like, so it was just a really hard time for me. And like, I remember one time where like me and my older sister were at the beach with everybody, and like, we literally had to stop at one point and take a call with a lawyer. And I'm like, why is this even affecting our vacation? You know, like, it's everything. Like, so it was just really hard. And I just felt really alone, like, because I didn't want to talk to my friends about it because they just don't understand, right? Like, so it was just one of those times where I just felt so overwhelmed and so, like, just isolated. And my husband was great. Like, he is amazing, and he is like the most even keel person, which is probably great for me, right? I get to do it. So I was like, why do you not? Like, you don't feel it, you know? Like, and he did, right? But I think I remember, like, friends at that time, somehow we've gotten out of church. And it's a church we're at now. But we started going to the church. And I think maybe because, like, I knew I needed it, right? Like, you know, like, and we need God the most when we're struggling, right? Like, and that's what we think in our heads, right? So we started going to church, and I just remember one sermon, him talking about, like, giving it all to God. Like, you don't have to carry this. Like, this, like, you don't have to shoulder these burdens. And I just remember our church literally does, like, they don't do altar calls or anything, but they literally also don't do, like, the raise your hand thing. Like, they've never done that, but they did this day. They were like, you know, like, I know we don't do this, but today I just feel like if God is saying this and you are ready to give everything to God, raise your hand. And of course, I'm like, raise my hand, right? So in that process, I have this friend, and she's, you know, she's one of those friends who she likes to know everything and do everything. So we're on a boat later, like, just hanging out, and she's like, hey, so I noticed that you raised your hand at church the other day. And I'm like, wasn't everybody's eyes supposed to be closed?
You were supposed to look at.
But so she was like, hey, I'm starting this little Bible study with this other girl. Like, she wants to do a Bible study, and I kind of need another person, you know, so it's like 3 is a good number. And she's like, would you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, like, clearly I need this, right? So it's a good thing that she had her eyes open, you know, like, God put those people in your life for a reason. So I started this Bible study, and it just kind of, like, through this whole thing, like, I just learned to, like, turn it over to God. Like, I think one of my favorite verses is Exodus 14:14, where he's like, the Lord will fight for you. You just need to be still. And that is a struggle for me, because I like to know what's going to happen and what can I control and what do we need to do. But it was just a time where I was like, okay, like, you got this, God. Like, I'm here. Like, tell me what I need to do. Like, so through all that, I think it kind of opened our eyes a little bit to like the court system and what that entails, and like what it takes for a mom to get her kid back. And like, so I also had another friend at this time, right? There's lots of friends who play into this, who she was a foster mom. And so she was actually a great person for me to be my sounding board in all this, because she actually understood what I was going through. So through this, we just kind of felt like God calling us in that direction. And I look back now and I realize, like, that hard time, like, it gave me such a different view of foster care and stuff, because, like, I got to see what it took, like, for a mom who was somebody that I loved, right? Like, this mom, she's my baby sister. Like, I love her so much. And, like, to see the hurdles and, like, how hard they make it for people to get their kids back. So it,
by the loss they've experienced, right?
Yeah,
because even if it's from their own choices, it's still deep, great loss. I mean, yeah.
And there was, like, one point where, like, she had another baby, and then so my niece, and she got it's a crazy bizarre story, but, like, a babysitter had gotten custody of her. And so, like, we were like, no, like, she's gonna come to us, and the court wouldn't give her to us. So, like, we fought that battle for a year, and, like, like, you sit here and you're like, what in the world? Like, how does that happen? Right?
Sense, right?
Yeah. So, like, my sister got her back, and that was great. So it would, but it's like she had to do all these things. It's like you have to get a job, but you have to go to counseling, but you have to go to parenting classes, and it's like, how do you do all this? Like, I mean, there's not enough hours in the day, right? Like, so it's almost like they set you up for failure sometimes. So it did just kind of like open our eyes. And like, I think too, sitting at a table and you, as a birth mom, right, or a biological mom, it's all these things that you have to do, and all these people who almost like perception of reality, right? All these people who you probably feel like are wanting you to fail, right? And so like, what kind of difference would it make to have a person at the table who was like, hey, you can do this, and hey, like, let me help you.
Right.
So that was kind of where God just kind of like, he was telling us, like, hey, this is where you need to be. Like, you guys could be foster parent, and like foster parents who walk alongside these birth parents who are struggling. And so in 2019, we got our foster care license, and so we've been foster parents ever since.
So good.
Yeah. You mentioned, after you got married, you drifted away from God.
Yeah.
What do you think contributed most to that in that season of life? I know you had a lot going on, but what do you think contributed to that the most?
I don't say that life was easy. But yeah, right? Like, I mean, I would check my boxes to success, like, and I was doing it. So it was like, almost like,
God almost.
Yeah. Like, so it just wasn't a priority because all these other things, were like, and things were good. So sometimes gotta hit rock bottom. So.
Yeah. And now, our pastor talks about how like a lot of times it is crisis moments, where we have to come face to face with our need for him, right? And because as long as life's kind of smooth sailing, we sometimes just like, oh, and I think that's even for people who really even are even in the church doing the church thing, right? That doesn't, you can be in the church and not be living a fully surrendered life. You can be in the church and that can be just one of the boxes you're checking. Like, okay, I've got the good job, I've got the family, we're socially involved, we've got the church, and then but still not be living this like life of a disciple. Yeah, I'm not really a follower of Jesus. So, talk a little bit about, you kind of touched on that, like that crisis moment for you. Was the crisis moment for you that season when you're facing, okay, what are we going to do about this situation with that child that needs us, my sister, all of that? Would you say that was your kind of your crisis?
Yeah, I think it was just like feeling alone in that time, right? Like, who do you go to? Like, and when you're like walking through something that people don't necessarily understand, like, who else can you go to, right? So I think that was kind of, it almost became like I had to, right? Like, I needed somebody. And like, when the pastor was talking about, like, you don't have to carry this. Cause and I think that's where I struggled so much too in that whole situation, is I felt like it was all on me, and it wasn't. And I see that now looking back, like, but in that walking through it, it was really hard. And I felt like it was on me. Like, and how am I expected to like save this kid? Like, I don't know. And
we're kind of Paul talks about this in some of his writings. Paul talks about the struggle of trying to be all things to all people.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we all we struggle. And I would say, I can't say from a man's perspective because I've never been a man. So I'll just talk about it from a man's perspective. I do think women really struggle with trying to get all things to all people, right? We try to be the best mom, the best wife, the best sister, the best daughter, the best friend, all these things. And somehow in that journey, I do think it's easy for us as women to take the reins and to not just to rest in that Jesus is enough and that he has us, and we don't have to fix it for everyone. We don't have to control all the situations because we want to fix it for everyone.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's been sticking in my mind so much over the last couple of months is we had a guest on our podcast, Matt Broderick, and one of the things he talked about was, what does enabling look like? And it's really stuck with me because he talks about how, enabling is never from an ill place usually it's from someone who's really wanting to help and wanting to fix it, right? And so like it's that he talked about how sometimes we enable, like he was talking specific to like someone who's struggling with addiction, and maybe they land in jail, and he's like, as a family member, what you want to do is go in and get them out of jail. And he said, but you have to really step back and go, is that going to be the best thing for them in the long run? Because in his words, sometimes they just need to sit in jail for a while, because that's how they're going to recognize their need for Jesus. And as long as we keep coming to their rescue, they'll never recognize their need for Jesus, right? As long as we're their rescuer, they never have to turn to the true rescuer. And I think we all I think for women, we struggle with that. So the weight that you were feeling and the weight you were carrying in that moment, and the fact that Jesus met you in that place of recognizing, Karina, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to be all things to all people. You don't have to fix these situations, right? And I think that's a trauma response too, especially when you've grown up in situations where you've dealt with deep hurt and deep pain, things you couldn't control, things you couldn't fix for someone, right? And then the things you can, it puts you like on hypervigilance of like, all the things I can't fix, I'm going to fix. For these things I couldn't.
Yeah. In that moment, explain to us how God met you. Like, how did you feel his presence? How did you know it was him that you needed to turn to in that moment?
I think like just growing up, like having those moments too, like you just kind of know. And like, I think it's just that peace you feel like when you're like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like, and that comfort of just knowing, like you just feel that comfort come over you, like, oh, okay, this is what I need. And like, right. So, and it's like this burden off my shoulders, right? Like, and then he like having that friend there to be like, hey, like, I think that's amazing that you did that. Let's get you plugged in the Bible study with us,
Kudos to that friend, by the way.
So he opened her eyes.
Your friend was.
Oh, listen, you know her. This would not be surprising at all. Which I'm so thankful, like it was, because like I said, like in the youth group, in youth camp, like when you make that decision, it's like, well, what next? And I think getting plugged straight into that, like Bible study and just having those people. And so it's actually funny because it was like her and then the other girl that was doing it with us, she was walking through adoption. So it just, like,
it wasn't by happenstance.
No, it was like, here you go, got that here. So it was just like having those two women who are like God-loving people, like,
sure,
that I can like
just
come to. Yeah. And so like, we met every week and we went through the book of John. And if there's ever a book of the Bible that I'm like, this is where you should start, it's about John, right? Like, I mean, it's just so it was just like, it was what I needed when I needed it, which is,
that's beautiful, that tangible evidence that you can look back and see that was him. Like, he orchestrated all of that and had that other woman that was walking the same journey and all of those things.
So beautiful. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about foster care.
Let's do it.
Foster care is not an easy road. And I've said this, you've been on my list for this podcast since the very beginning, by the way. And I'm going to get emotional. Man, the thing you just described about how God gave you a unique perspective, because you were on both sides, right? You were living on both sides. You were living on the side of the family member who was hurting because they were having to lose their child for a season, or unknowing how long that was going to be. But also you're on the side of, I'm the one that feels like I'm supposed to be there for this kid and rescue this kid from the situation that's not good for them right now, right? So, and I've said, and even just hearing you say that, and it just explains so much to me of like the journey I've just watched through social media, just your perspective. I've said to so many people, I just said this to my brother today, because it's like, what are you doing? I was like, I said, do you remember Karina? We're talking about, I was like, she's doing our podcast. And I was telling him that you foster, and I was like, her perspective on fostering is like nobody's I've ever known. And it's just so beautiful and so healthy and such a picture of the gospel. It's what true love, sacrificial love looks like. So, what has God taught you through foster care about himself and then about his mission, because I think that he's obviously teaching you things for you to be able to walk this out in the way that you do, because it's not typical.
Yeah. So I think that he's opened my eyes to just love, right? Like an acceptance. Because I think it, like you said, the worldview of foster care is these parents are horrible, right? And they don't love their kids, and they, and that is not what it is. Like we have had over 50 kids in our home at this point.
I was going to ask how many of you had?
And not long term. Like some are here for a night, right? Like, but none of them, like, not one has a parent not loved it, right? Like, and I think it just taught me a lot of grace, like, because like I'm not a perfect parent, right? And it's
all the best we can do,
right?
Listen,
and I'm surrounded by amazing people who pour into me as a mom, right? But a lot of these parents don't have that. They don't have anybody, like, and they have no idea how to be a mom. And like,
right, that's what I was gonna say. And then there's such a gap between, they don't even know how to be a mom. Yeah, I'm doing the best they know to do, but they don't even know how to be a mom or a dad or I
mean, and there's so many that like they were in foster care, right? Like, and so it's a cycle. But and I just think that if they had the resources that I have, wouldn't they be like, they could be successful, right? And so I think it's just taught me, like, not to jump to conclusions, and that, like, God loves me so much, and I definitely wasn't perfect, right? Like, and I had a lot of things, and he, like, met me there. So, like, that's our calling, is to love people, right? To, like, because if I didn't have that friend, who opened her eyes, like, who knows what would have turned up. So, like, if I can be that person to, like, one of these moms, or even to these kids, right? As these kids come into our homes, like, they just need somebody, like, to be a safe space for them. So yeah, it's just, it is hard. I will not, you said it's a hard thing. Like, it is so hard. And I won't say that it's necessarily hard because the kids or even the parents. It's a lot of it is a system. The system is a very, very broken system. But the kids are amazing. Like, they're just incredible kids. And I think it's just also so amazing to see God work through it. Like, one of my friends that fosters too, we talk all the time, like, how foster care is the front row seat to God's work. Because there's so many moments where I've been like, what in the world? Like, what do you want, God? Like, what am I even praying for at that point? Like, I don't know. Like, and then there's a solution, right, that he brought. And I'm like, there's no other answer for that but God. And that's just, it really has, like, just opened my eyes to so many things.
Well, and Scripture teaches us that that's pure religion, right? Taking care of the orphan.
Oh, yeah.
Taking care of it. Like, that is as close to the heart of God as anything. Right. So, yeah, you're going to see him. And when you're giving yourself to that, if that's what you're looking for, because that's his heart. Fully his heart. Yeah. So good. So you said you've had over 50 children in and out of your home.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think that is different about your perspective that I want you to unpack a little bit is, when I think so many people resist foster care, and I have been one of those that have struggled with this and I'm an adopted family. I have a son that's adopted, and I'm so thankful for that journey, and I would do it 15 more times, right? But one of the things I think that's a little tricky about foster care is, and I think the thing that people fear is, well, what happens when you get attached and you have to send them back home? And your perspective about that is so different. So I want you to share a little bit about that.
First of all, that is as a foster parent, any foster parent will tell you that is one of our least favorite things. I could never do that. I would get too attached. Because if you have seen me with any of these kids, we are attached. Like, our whole family is attached. Like, we love these kids. But first, they're not my kids. They're God's kids, right? And that is always number one. But two, like, if I love this kid as much as I say that I love this kid, right, then don't I want what's best for him? And God designed this kid for their family, right? Like, and to say that, like, no, that's like saying God made a mistake. Right. And, like, that's not, and that's not saying, I mean, I've adopted too. So, I think God can take something broken and make it beautiful too. Like, But if a parent is healthy and can parent, then
Right.
they should, right? And that, or a family member, right? Because I've been that family member fighting for a kid. And so like we've said goodbyes, and are they hard? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think too, like, we've had relationships with some of them, and I think when a biological parent knows that you're on their side, like, they're going to be more open to that when they go home too. So like, we say we're not just fostering this baby, like, we're fostering their whole family, right? Like, whether that is like a grandmother or the mom or just whoever. So we are like pouring into everybody, because you do want their
everyone. Yeah.
family to succeed, like, not just this kid, but their whole family. And I think that is one of my, like, people ask, like, what's your favorite moments, what's your hardest moment? But one of my favorite moments is, like, we did have this baby. We got her kind of straight from the hospital, and she was like one of my first girls, which is kind of a big deal for me, because I don't have girls. So like, and that was like, I say yes to girls all the time, and they always fall through. So this was one that, like, I said yes to, and when they like called about her, they were like, yeah, she's probably not going home. And that also is always an irk to me, because I'm like, how do you really know that?
Right.
Like, so it was, but I remember going to pick this baby up, and like, I looked at her, and I just felt God saying, like, she's not yours. Like, this is not your baby. And so that was really great for me too, because, you know, it was a girl. So I was like, oh yeah, a girl for me. But then I met her mom, and like, her mom, she was one of the first moms I had that, like, she busted her tail to get her baby back. Like, she would like text me every day. Like, she would come to all the doctor's appointments, and she lived an hour and a half away. So I mean, like, she was like for trying. Yeah. Like, I mean, she wanted her baby, and she was willing to do whatever it takes. And I'll never forget, like, I didn't go to the court that day. But she called me, and she was like, I'm getting her back. She was like, I'm coming. And like, she's crying, you know, and like, the worker's like, hey, she's gonna, like, how do we get her? And I was like, I'm pretty sure she's already on her way. Like, I'm going to meet her. Like, we're good. And I'll never forget, like, parking behind her, and like, her getting out and coming to get her baby, and like, just sobbing. And like, that moment, like, it's just a God thing, right? And it just, like, how perfect is that story of restoration? Like, and is that not what God does for all of us? Like,
Absolutely.
so it's just so beautiful to see it play out too. And I know, like, there are definitely times when it's not safe at home. Like, we've adopted out of foster care. And I've had some that go to situations where, like, I don't feel great when it happens. Like, we had one go into a family member, and it like made me sick for a little bit. But now, like, I know that, like, I've kept in touch with them, and I see, and I'm like, he's doing great. Like, and so even in the moments when we just don't know, right? And God said, be still, right? Let me handle this.
Right.
Like,
Let me fight for you. Right?
yeah, like 5 years later, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, God, you had it right.
Yeah.
You were right. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what, I mean, these are his kids. And I think it's just one of your guys' rapid fire questions is always like, if you give me anybody in the Bible,
Yeah.
and mine would be Joseph, like,
Yeah.
Mary and Joseph,
Yes.
Joseph, because I'm like, can you imagine being a parent to God's son? Like, what? Like, you know, like, I would love to talk to him and be like, how was that foster care journey? You know? So I just think, yeah, like, it is just, you know, it's such kingdom work.
It is truly kingdom work.
Yeah.
By the way, they need to like have you speaking for them, because I think that's a piece of the journey that's missing in so many situations. I mean, spending 25 years in education, like, and having foster children in my home, in my classroom, and just often that wasn't the case.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't like a restorative kind of relationship or a redemptive kind of relationship, and I think you're getting to the source of the need. The root of the issue is not just serving this child well, but like, how do we serve others in that family well, to be able to create a space that is good for them to go back to, right? It is healthy for them to go back to. And, you know, I think when we were going through our adoption journey, that's one of the things the Lord talked to me about was, Jennifer, you'll never really love the child I have for you well until you can love their family well.
Yeah.
And I knew that. And originally we started an international adoption because that felt safe to me. honestly, domestic adoption was terrifying to me because I thought, what if they show up on our doorstep? What if they, and then I heard a birth mother speak, and her story was the adoptive family of her child, how well they had loved her, and how that was a part of her story and her journey. And that's the Lord just used that to convict me, like, this is what I've called you to do. And it won't be easy, and it will be hard, and it will be, there's brokenness with any adoption story. Because if there was a brokenness, there wouldn't be adoption, right? Like, it comes from that place of there's something that's caused a need for adoption or foster or whatever. And I think just learning to love a child well, you have to love all the points of contact for that child well. And that's where I like what you said, the grace of just recognizing we all need grace. And so how do we really truly become people who extend that grace to others? So, thank you for those reminders. That's one of the things I think is so special about your story. And
I enjoy a lot.
Yeah, so good. So good.
I want to ask how, I was upset and thought about it. So you said the church was your safe place and you remember it being your safe place. How have you used that, and how has God used that in your ministry of loving and giving all these children this safe space?
Yeah. Well, I think the church is still my safe space.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just, feeling God's love in so many hard times, like, so like, how can we pour that into these kids, or like even our own kids in this time, like as they transition and stuff. I think just pouring God into it, because even when we're gone, like if they go home or they go to a family member or they go to an adoptive resource or whatever, they still have that, right? So like teaching them how to turn to God in this time, and their parents, right? Like, so how can I teach these parents, like, God, is there, and like it will seem hard, and like things are hard, and like, but He is there, and He's walked these walks, right? Like, I mean, Jesus is, there you go. Like, I mean, He was separated from God, like His Father, and He's given to these people who are essentially His foster parents. So like, He knows what you're going through, like, and I think that, just knowing that I had that safe space when I was going through hard stuff, like, it just helped me like pour into them so they can find that safe space. So
that's so beautiful that you minister in that way, and just
it's so powerful. So, and I love just this thought of the way the church showed up for you as a young teenager, right?
Yeah.
And like, just how you still find that to be your safe space. And that's what's so beautiful to me and that's what I say all the time at the children's pastor is, there's times you sit and I'm in kids worship on a Sunday or Wednesday night, and I'm like, that was absolute chaos, and we walk out, and that sometimes my teachers or whatever are like, I don't think they heard a thing I said. I'm like, I don't even know that they knew what, that we were at church or whatever, that stuff. And, but I always say to them, and I do mean it, and I have to remind myself of this too, like, they may not remember everything you taught them. They may not be able to quote the scripture reference. But at the end of the day, if they felt safe, like if they felt seen, when they are here, they know that they are loved, and whatever else goes on outside these walls, that this is a place they don't have to carry that burden. They don't have to, like, if they just know that they were seen and they were loved and they were safe. And I say this too, like for families who sometimes, when you're serving a family where one of the children has significant special needs or something, and maybe everywhere they go, they feel like their family's an inconvenience, right? Or like they don't really fit there, and nobody. And I will just say to our workers, like, what we're doing here is about more than ministering to this child. It's about ministering to their siblings and their parents. Of like, the church is a safe place for you. You may not feel like you fit anywhere else, but here you do. And like, and I'll say, like, sometimes the best way for us to serve the child who has the special needs is to create a space for them so that their siblings can hear the gospel, so their parents can hear the gospel, so they can experience God's love in a way that maybe they're not anywhere else. But this idea of like just remembering that those encounters that we have in that space at church, they're planting seeds for future Like,
And
it's something that may, like, for you, I mean, years later, you knew to come back to the church.
Yeah.
Like, you might get away from the church, but because the church had shown up for you in a way that was impactful and was kind and gracious and loving and supported, when you found yourself in that moment of like, I'm kind of at the end of myself,
Yeah.
you knew that was the place to come back to, right? Which is beautiful.
And I think, like, you're talking about, like, their siblings and stuff, and as a sibling of a kid who was sick, like, I felt invisible a lot, right? Like, we're, you know, like, because we are kind of, like, on the back burner sometimes because our parents are with them, or, you know, and it, like, somebody who sees us,
Yeah.
you know, and not, oh, that's so-and-so, you know, like, that was really important, too. Or just being able to have a normal experience. Like, I can go into this classroom and, like, just be a kid.
Yeah.
And I think that, too, like...
And not feel the responsibility for your sibling, even. Because I find that often with kids who's special needs families. I find often sometimes the one kid feels an overwhelming responsibility for the child who has special needs. So to be able to know, okay, I don't have to worry about my brother or sister right now. Like, I can just go in this class and I can just be a kid. Yeah. You know, I can just for a second trust that he's taken care of and she's taking care of, you know. And so, yeah, it's such a gift. But I think just for me, it's a reminder that all the ways the church is supposed to show up in people's lives. Your story is beautiful because, and no criticism to the church or whoever that was that said whatever to your mom. I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be judgmental or critical, because we've all been there and done that. Like, I've said things that I thought, why in the world did I say that? Like, that's not what I meant, but that's how it came across, you know. But like the kind of the contrast there of like the hurt that can be caused by the church versus the love, the grace, the mercy, the safe space that the church really can be, right? And I just think that's a beautiful reminder of just, you know, we're called to love. And you said that, like, we're called to love. And if we just will keep our focus on the people that God puts in front of us, the opportunities he gives us, we're just called to love.
Yeah.
We don't even have to fix the situation. We're just called to love, right? And our pastor says all the time, if you just love, the Holy Spirit does what the Holy Spirit does, right? He takes care of all the other stuff. Just love. And I think that's a beautiful reminder. And I think we all need that reminder. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, because I think it's something that resonates with all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. What is one thing about God's character that your story has made unshakably true for you?
That he's always there, like, you know, and he will always fight for you. And I think just like his pursuit of his children, right? Like, he is pursuing us all the time. And even in times where, like, life was easy, right? And he wasn't my priority. But I also look back at that time and I'm like, but he also put certain people in my life. Like, he gave me my husband, right? And like, I don't even know where I would have wound up without him, because he is amazing. Or like friends in college, because like,
even just where you were in college, across the hallway of the guy, all of that is just such evidence of God's grace.
Yeah.
That's that convenient grace in our life, of that grace that goes before we even know we need it. Like, all those times I can trace back and go, okay, I didn't recognize this was God, but that was most certainly God, right?
Yes. And I think like my life could have gone so differently in college, because I was kind of running, right? Like, I'm just running from everything at home and like just my past, my childhood. Like, I just wanted to get away. Like, I could have ran to so many different things, and I think that God did just put people there, like just random friends, or like, you know, I said my husband, or like just that kind of kept me on the straight and narrow, and then led like friends that led me to this church. And then, you know, like, I hear that ministry like in that sermon, and like, we go to church there now, and I like would not be where I was without that church and like the people there. And like, I wouldn't be able to be a successful foster parent without all the people who helped and come alongside us. And it's just his steadfast love. It's like, when you really look at your life, like, because in the moment you don't see it, but like, when you look back, you're like, oh my, like, it all makes sense.
That reckless love. Yeah. And just like, that steadfastness that you're talking about. And even when we're not pursuing him, and it almost seems like we're running from him, or at least just trying to isolate ourselves.
Yeah.
And even in those moments, he doesn't say, okay, just go, you know, whatever. He continues to he continues to seek after us. Yeah. He continues to give us opportunities to respond to him. And so great. So for someone who might be listening to this today, one of our listeners, who maybe they feel isolated, just like you were feeling in a very hard season, or maybe they are real right in the middle of a hard season, and they're like, I don't even know what in the world I'm going to do, or I'm tired, I'm weary, I can't keep carrying this. What word of encouragement would you want to share with them?
I think I would say first, you're not alone. Like, I think that especially in today's day with social media and stuff, like we see snippets of happy life. And I mean, like, if you look back at my social media during that time, like, you would have no clue that I was struggling, right?
Mhm.
And so I think behind everybody's smile and stuff, a lot of people are struggling.
Absolutely.
So you're not alone. And then I think that you don't have to do it alone. I think to know that you can give it to God, and it's scary as all get up to like hand control over, right? But I think
It's more terrifying to hang on to it when you start thinking about that.
right?
It's much better if your hands God than mine. So
Yeah, and I think, I just, like I said, that Bible verse is my favorite Bible verse. But like, he will fight for you. Like, you just have to let him. Like, so often we stand in our own way, right? And but to just, okay, God, like, you do you, and I'll do what you need me to do.
Right.
So
yeah, I think the reminder that you just shared, you're not alone, is so important for people to realize, like, God is there and other people, like, you're not alone. Like, giving ourselves to community is really a part of our surrender, because God created us for that. But sometimes in our world, we want, and because of past hurts or trauma, we want to retreat and we want to isolate. But that's so much against what we were really created for. So I think recognizing that we do need God, like we need Him, His presence. We need His power at work within us that we cannot. But we also, like He gives, like in your story, person after person after person. Like we have to be willing to give ourselves to community and let the walls down and be willing to take the risk for relationship, to know that we do need each other. Yeah. And we need other people to walk the journey with us, for sure.
Yeah. Karina, thank you for sharing your story today. It's such a beautiful reminder of God's reckless love, and He doesn't abandon us or anything, and that He will keep pursuing us and keep preparing us for the call of something even greater than we could have possibly ever imagined, just as He used so many things from your childhood to grow this beautiful ministry that you have now. So it's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, such an encouragement that He doesn't waste our pain, right? Because all those points of pain in your life, He doesn't waste them. He redeems them and He uses them. Like you mentioned Mary and Joseph, but when you said Joseph, it made me think of Joseph in the Old Testament too. Like all this story of pain, right? And separation from family and all this. And but the Lord redeemed that and then used it for His ministry. And so I'm so thankful for the reminder today that He does redeem for His purposes and the hard things in our life, and He prepares us for things that we wouldn't have been able to pour into and invest in the same way. But and that's really what the 1211 podcast is all about, friends. Your story matters. Revelation 12:11 reminds us that testimonies help us overcome the enemy. It's scary at times to share your story, but sharing your story will bring you freedom, and it can be the very thing that helps someone else step into freedom as well.
So here's our challenge to you, our listeners. Trust God's word and don't be afraid to share your story. You never know who might need your words today.
Thank you for being a part of the 1211 community. Thank you for listening, for sharing, for commenting, for subscribing. Every click helps us reach more people with the good news of hope and freedom that is only found in Jesus.
Make sure to join us next Tuesday when we'll sit down with a woman who has a powerful and deeply personal story. She will open up about her family's journey through cancer, the heartbreaking loss of her husband, and what it means to grieve while still choosing to live with hope.
This is a story of love, loss, and resilience, one that reminds us that even in the darkest moments, there's still light to be found. Join us as she shares the lessons, the pain, and the strength that have shaped her path forward. You won't want to miss this heartfelt and inspiring episode.
Thank all of you for listening, and we'll see you next time on the 1211 podcast.
Blessings, friends.